rendition of it. It's wonderful to see you all tonight. It really means a lot. On behalf of Mom and Dad as well, and Johnny, as June said, thank you for coming. My husband's in Florida. He sends his regards as well. Mom turned 80 yesterday. We were over there and we got her favorite Chinese food and her Dunkin' Donuts. She got a birthday cake. Jimbo's was the one that bought her birthday cake every year, so she couldn't bear to have a birthday cake. She said, get me the Dunkin' Donuts instead, so I think that's going to be the new birthday tradition. So it was nice. We were all together last night. My dad is down in Florida. Some of you are aware. He's living in assisted living in Clearwater, very close, walking distance to my house, and his Alzheimer's and dementia has definitely progressed. I was going to try and bring him here, but things just, it would have been too difficult. So, but he also sends his regards. So, my parents are both elderly now, as many of our parents are, and they're grieving in their own way. My dear sister and I have stepped in for our dearest brother, Jimbo. I've tried so many times to really just call him Jim or Jimmy. I want to be like he's a grown-up. But he'll always be Jimbo to me. I can't do it. So, let me just, don't mind me. I've been very busy here. So, while accepting the Lifetime Achievement Award in 1997 at the Daytime Emmys, Fred Rogers said, here we go, all of us have special ones who have loved us into being. And we've all loved Jimbo. And he also said, would you just take along with me, and we're going to do this, okay? So take along with me 10 seconds to think of the people who have helped you become who you are. Okay, so I have the Mr. Rogers, sorry for a repeat, but it's a little bit of a different story. But Jimbo loved watching Mr. Rogers. Like I said, he'd dress up in his terry cloth bathrobe, and he would pretend it was the Mr. Rogers sweater. He'd take it off as Mr. Rogers did at the beginning of the show. The active, wild little boy that he was, he stopped running around long enough to mimic the opening song and listen to the soothing, kind words on the 1970s best babysitter, the television. My heart has always been full of love for him, even though there may be times where we didn't speak, had a little falling out, but I always loved my brother, of course. I was thrilled, the most thrilled 3.5-year-old you could ever imagine, when Mom and Dad brought me home a real baby doll to play with in 1970. I remember when they walked in the door, we were at Grandma's, and I saw his tiny little head, that black baby hair sticking out of the blanket. I told him this story when he came to visit my husband and I in Florida recently. My husband Stephen and I in our Florida home. I told him how excited I was to see my new baby brother. From that point on, I began to call him BB for baby brother. Only sometimes, because all of us know you have to take care when you're playing with Jim. He would tell us at times he felt like Johnny, June, and I picked on him. I think he referred to it as torture. We did he always had that thick head of wild hair, and we always called him Furry Bear, and we would do this on his head, and he hated that. But of course, we were only showing him love in our own way. The way we did as siblings growing up in our modest home on Glide Lane. Lots of love and lots of sibling stuff. Glide Lane was the most wonderful place to grow up. I think a lot of our friends here can agree to that. The wonder years for us was the 70s and 80s. A significant and most happy part of growing up was the incredible music that we shared and we listened to together. The Kerwood house was a house full of music. The radio always going in the kitchen with WBLI or WALK, or the click-clack of the 8-track tape when the music was changing. Jimbo and I were the biggest Beatle fans in the house, contrary to what Johnny or June will tell you. Oh, boy. We would sit in our playroom downstairs with my little suitcase-style record player, or that GE show and tell phono viewer, for hours. I don't know if you all remember that. It seemed like hours anyway, but with our attention spans, I'm sure we weren't really sitting for very long at all. Watching the green apples spinning on the turntable. I Want to Hold Your Hand. There Were Birds on a Hill. Our happy, bouncy, loving Jimbo loved his music always. This was a perfect way for two siblings to bond, for me to bond with my little brother. This deep affection of music and concerts continued through his entire life. Jimbo and I both loved the Rubber Soul album by the Beatles. A favorite was In My Life. Now, I'm going to talk a few of the lines from In My Life from Jimbo's perspective. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing. You don't need earplugs. Okay? There are places I'll remember. Glide Lane, Tamarack, Seneca, Sachem, baseball, soccer, UPS. All my life, though some have changed. Some forever, not for better. Some have gone, and some remain. All the places have their moments with lovers and friends I still can recall. Some are dead, as Jimbo would say, Neil Peart, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, John Lennon, and some are living, all of us. And in my life, I love them all. Okay, final I have, how many of you follow Jim on Facebook? Anybody? Okay, so this is going to be good. The top 10 things my baby brother would share on Facebook are, number 1, the annual reminder that on November 13th, Fearless Unger was asked to remove himself from his place of residence. That request came from his wife. Number 2, live videos on his television of the Rush concert. Number 3, a plethora of beer from everywhere. Number 4, the Yankees, Jeter. Number 5, let's go Rangers. Number 6, everything you want to know about the Beatles. Number 7, more pictures of a plethora of beer. And number 7, oh no, that was 7, sorry. Number 8, asking for various types of advice and recommendations. Number 9, commentary on his selections for the next binge watch. And number 10, happy feedback about a recent gathering with friends or family. So he's going to be greatly missed, and we thank you all for coming, and it really means a lot to us, and keep us in your prayers, especially my parents. And with that, I'd like to welcome Ministers Leah and Roger Achari from the Abundant Life Church in Holbrook. They're going to come up and share with us some spiritual and faith